Sean Payton does not lack for confidence. That's pretty obvious, considering he didn't even ask for John Hamm or even Frankie Muniz to play in his straight-to-Netflix movie Home Team. But that confidence could cost him his legacy. Of course, I'm talking about Sean Payton deciding to go with the Broncos today. And considering he's a man comfortable enough in his own skin to get Kevin James to play him in a biopic, it shouldn't be a surprise that he decided to go with Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos and their lack of draft picks. Will that confidence in himself cost him his legacy? Or can he fix the Denver Broncos, and more importantly, Russell Wilson? Let's get into it, but after liking this video and subscribing to my channel. The move cost the Denver Broncos a first-round pick this year and a second-round pick next year, though next year they get a third-round pick back. How much Payton is getting paid isn't available yet, but I imagine it makes him the highest paid Walmart employee ever. It's also definitely enough for Payton to want to deal with Russell Wilson and all that the experience entails. The subway commercials, the airplane workouts, the poo hack. I'm sure I'm missing a few. Clearly the Broncos were not his first choice. We know this because Sean Payton basically tried to stage a hostile takeover of the Los Angeles Chargers, going so far as planting Joe Lombardi as a sleeper cell. I'm kidding, of course, I shouldn't even have to say that, that's ridiculous. But then again, it would explain some of the more bizarre moves Lombardi made over the last year. But in all seriousness, he was pining for Herbert in the media, and there were always these well-timed leaks, and you could tell Staley was pressing throughout the season. It was very real, and he definitely wanted to be the coach of the Chargers and Herbert. Considering how long he had been taking to make his decision, many started wondering whether or not he was going to take a year and try to get that Chargers job after all. And it was risky, but if you think about it, the Chargers are going to have a horrifying playoff exit next year, if they're lucky, actually. They might just have a horrifying game at the end of the season and not make the playoffs. But either way, there's definitely a scenario where the Chargers make it easy for Sean Payton to get a job next year. But despite the cosmic certainty, Sean Payton took the Denver Broncos job. And he's got his work cut out for him. Their roster is just okay. Like I said, they've got no draft picks. And Russell Wilson was a train wreck last year. But there's more at stake here for Payton. It's not just wins and losses. Guys like him, who are probably Hall of Famers, they care about things like legacy. And Sean Payton does have a Super Bowl and a good win-loss record. But he's not quite yet legacy-proof like his mentor Bill Parcells was before he went to Dallas. If you'll recall, another big trade that happened for a coach, John Gruden was traded from the Raiders to the Bucs. Gruden ended up winning a Super Bowl, but somehow over the course of his career, he didn't exactly cement his legacy. And I'm not talking about all that stuff that came out even last year. Before that, many started questioning whether he actually was good at any point. Even someone like Peter King, who's known to carry water, was questioning whether or not Gruden was good. This was thanks to a lackluster post-Super Bowl record. Can Payton's legacy survive a rough stretch with the Broncos and Russell Wilson? I mean, he might not even care how he's remembered, and he's going to get paid enough to forget. But maybe I'm being a little too optimistic here, and probably am, considering, they are in a division with the Chargers and the Chiefs. I don't know why I said the Chargers first. They should be much more concerned about the Chiefs. It's important to remember that not even a year ago, Dangerous was still being encouraged to cook by the masses. And now no one will put his signature sandwich into their mouth. But funny enough, that inedible quality to Russell Wilson could make Sean Payton a legend. All you have to do is look back to Russell Wilson's 2020 season, which didn't end great, but he was definitely the odds-on MVP throughout the first half of the season. And for all the flack that Denver is taking for that trade, which, yes, looks bad in hindsight, I really doubt the Broncos were the only team lining up for Russell Wilson's services. And who knows, a year ago, Russell Wilson and the Broncos, it might have been Payton's first choice. Or at the very least, a reasonable number 2. I mean, they do have some decent talent on the roster, and I'm sure Payton will figure out what to do with Jerry Jeudy's route running and Courtland Sutton's size. Sutton is especially intriguing. Yeah, he had a bad year, but Payton has had a long and storied history with possession-type receivers. And honestly, I would do a Herschel Walker-like trade just to get Nathaniel Hackett off the Broncos. So for as bad as that season was, and how tragic that Nathaniel Hackett decision was, just to maybe possibly get Aaron Rodgers, if you're a Broncos fan right now, you should be ecstatic. I can't think of a better way for this offseason to get started for you. So yeah, let me know. Did you think I was being a little too optimistic, pessimistic? If you're like a sanguine kind of Broncos fan, which there aren't that many of, surprisingly, even though they've been pretty successful the last 20 years, leave a comment below. And of course, as always, I have a long list of demands. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, turn on notifications, that'd be cool too, and please follow me on Twitter. Thanks.